Bruce Carrington versus Bernard Torres, 10 rounds in the featherweight division. Let's get into it. Let's start with Shushu Carrington. 10 wins, no losses, 6 wins by way of knockout. Shushu is one of my favorite fighters in the sport today. Before I even watched him fight, man, one of my peoples, right, sent me a text a couple years back with the article, right? And all the message said was, man, franchise is that's what they used to call me. He said, franchise, this upcoming boxer, man, he has a story just like yours. I'm like, he has a story just like mine. Let me see what's going on here. So I'm opening up the text message and I'm reading the article and I say, oh yeah, this man, I like this young man because I like to know the backstory of a fighter. This was back when he was an amateur. Then I watched him fight. He turned pro and I said, man, this dude is cold. Like he's got that type of potential. We've covered Shushu Carrington on the channel a few times before. So we talked about the speed, we talked about the hand speed, the movement, the accuracy, the combinations, the placement of his punches, the power that he possesses. He's a very skillful talent, and I believe that's clear to see. He had a massive year last year. 5 fights, a lot of fights in this era, right? He won 3 by stoppage, 2 by decision. Just a full, well-rounded year in development inside of the ring, man. When he fought Angel Torres, he showed us a lot, in my opinion, right? He showed us the elusive defense, the triple stab jab punches, hooks from both hands, right? He doesn't neglect the jab, doesn't neglect any part of the body. He's willing to be patient. He's a lot stronger than he looks as well, too, physically. Like, you're not going to rough up Shushu, right? Torres was giving him resistance as well, too. It's not like he was backing down by no means. He was trying to take over the fight. When Shushu is fighting, and you get the sense that he's got this level of maturity and poise inside of the ring like a veteran fighter does. I thought when he fought Torres, that was a great fight for him from the full package. I enjoyed watching that fight in Shushu's development. I think it prepared him for his following fight and his most recent fight when he fought Jason Sanchez. Jason Sanchez is someone who is tough and durable, man, with experience. He's fought guys like Oscar Valdez, Christopher Diaz, Adam Lopez, Zelfa Barrett, guys who have good power, guys who haven't, I mean, those guys didn't stop him before, right? Yeah, he got beat up in some of those fights, but he stood the test every single time and kept coming forward, kept marching forward, and put everything that he could to win the fight. Now, when we did a breakdown of that fight, I thought Shushu would win, by decision. I felt like it would be close in the early half, and then he would take over in the latter part of the fight. But man, Shushu had something different in mind in that fight. Like you got the sense early that he's not trying to go 10 rounds. From the jump, you could see the accuracy of Carrington, the distance control and the calmness in his mannerisms, and he wasn't forcing anything. He was taking what was given to him and he was making that count every single round. Picked his spots wisely. He was never in a rush, right? Shushu's close range fighting was on point that night, man. You know what I'm saying? He knew how to use that Philly shell. He used how to use that Philly shell and counter off of that Philly shell, slipping shots from that Philly shell, right? Using his body and awareness to be smooth like butter, making sure that he was elusive enough to slip shots, but accurate enough to get in range and let off shots of his own. He lulled Sanchez into a left hand counter that wobbled him, pushed him back to the ropes. And that's exactly where you don't want to be in the boxing ring. And Shushu was able to capitalize right where he wanted him to be with a right hand, landed cleanly on his chin, closed out the show. And I was thinking to myself, man, like, yo, that's how you make a statement. That's how you make a statement. 2 rounds to stop a guy who had never been stopped before. That's how you make a statement. I wasn't expecting a stoppage, but I was glad to see that it happened for him in that way because Sanchez is a formidable, tough, and durable opponent. He stopped a guy who has not been stopped before. And here's the thing with Shushu that I feel like he is going to continue to get better, but he cannot take Torres for granted. Let's talk about his opponent, Bernard Torres. 18 wins, 1 loss, 8 wins by way of knockout. This is the first time that I've heard of Torres. He's coming into this one with a modest resume. He's fought most of his fights in Spain. I think he fought one fight in America. Then he fought another one, a couple others in Norway. I think he's Filipino born, but seemed to have grown up in Norway. But up until 2022, man, he was undefeated. Suffered his first loss when he fought for Tundo Saya. I thought it was a close fight. Two judges had it relatively close, but one judge had it like 97-92. I thought that was a bit stretching of what we were actually saw, because you turn on the tape and you're like, yo, there's no way that it was that wide for the other guy. In my opinion, personally, man, Torres can fight. He's got good speed, good athletic fighter. For him to do damage, he has to close the gap, because Carrington has got like 3 or 4 or 5 inches on him. The reach, Torres has a 66-inch reach. Shushu is 71, 73-inch reach. So there's a bit of a physical disadvantage that Torres is going to try to neutralize. And the best way for him to do that is to close the gap and get in close so he can really let his shots off. And that's not always going to be easy if you're fading a guy who is good with control on the range. And Shushu is. But Saya did a good job of that as well, too. Saya did a great job of keeping the range and keeping things very simple. Whenever Torres would come in, he would shoot that jab with the left, come through with the right. Shoot that jab with the left, body shot. He did a very good job, especially early, because Torres was aggressive early, of finding ways to keep the distance and separation between the two. When Torres got dropped for the first time in his career by that right hand of Saya. But I tell you what, man, after he got dropped, man, Torres, a flip switched, and he turned it up a little bit more. And he was the one getting the better of Saya, right? Especially for the next few rounds and for the rest of the fight, in my opinion. I thought Saya became a little predictable and didn't really do anything to disguise his attack. And Torres seemed to really caught on and made some changes in his game plan and the way how he came and brought in his attack. Torres did some nice work to the body, made better defensive adjustments, stayed out of range a little bit better. He closed the fight very strongly. That fight, to me, could have been a draw. And you could even say Torres did enough in the second half of the fight to maybe even steal the fight, right? I thought he closed very well, man. Torres fought his way back into that fight, which goes to show you that he's mentally locked in. Like, he's not going to stop coming forward until the fight is done. He fought twice last year, won both of those fights. Didn't really get too much resistance against either guy. Those were fights that his opponents were experienced, but they were not on the same skill or talent level as Torres was. So, Torres fights with a lot of heart, man, determination. He fights to his strengths. He's going to need to do that same thing against Shushu Carrington, man. So who wins? Tell you what, man, this is going to be a very good matchup, man. I think this could be one of the best fights on the card, honestly, in my opinion. Torres is a smart fighter. He's explosive and he makes good adjustments. He finishes well in his fights. I also think it's fights like these ones that make Shushu Carrington get exciting for, right? He's going to be tested in this fight. To me, he has the physical advantages, height, reach, but it's going to take an accumulation of punches and shots and body shots, I think, to take Torres out. I don't think it's going to be easy. Torres is kind of shifty and crafty inside of the ring, man. So gonna be interesting to see the adjustments between both of these men and what the game plan is. I don't think it's going to be an easy fight for no man. I really like what both of them can do in the skill set that makes them both successful. I think this fight goes the distance. I think Shushu Carrington wins this fight. I think he is going to control the range and use that to his advantage. If he comes on and he's the one pushing the pace a little bit more and being the aggressor, I could see a situation where a body shot really slows Torres up. But his center of gravity, man, he just seems like a very strong and durable opponent. So gonna be interesting to see how it does unfold, man. But I like Shushu Carrington to win this fight. Decision is where I want to go, but I also saw a little tape interviewer Shushu saying, man, I want to make a statement in this fight. And I tell you what, man, I kind of believe him. I kind of believe him. I think the distance is the smarter play for everybody who's probably making bets, you know, but I'm going to say Shushu Carrington wins this fight by a body shot, late stoppage. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a couple ways that you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel and will be greatly, greatly appreciated. Shout out to all the members holding down the membership section. I appreciate each of you. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.